declaration does is it ensures that we can bring in the right resources now to help start the recovery process and support any of the ongoing response actions that may be needed in these communities. When I spoke to the president and gave him an update yesterday on what I was hearing on the ground, he's very clear to me all the time. Make sure that the entire federal family does whatever they can to support these communities, and that's what we're here to do. So I want to tell the individuals to start. If you are in one of those 4 counties, if you are in Carroll, Humphreys, Monroe, or Sharkey, you can contact your insurance company, first line of defense, but also begin the process with FEMA, and you can do that by going to disasterassistance.gov, or you can call 1-800-621-3362 to apply for assistance. You can also use the FEMA app. We also have people on the ground that will be in FEMA shirts. They're called Disaster Survivor Assistance Teams. They'll have iPads with them. They can also assist in registering you for assistance. These are just the first counties. As the governor said, we are going to work with the team, with the state team here, to assess additional counties to see if any more need to be added to this declaration. We know that this is going to be a long-term recovery event, and we can see just where we're standing here that one of the major issues that we're going to face is housing, and how do we help the individuals that have been impacted by this horrific event. I know that our partners from the American Red Cross are already on the ground and providing shelter that those that need it. And I think, as you heard the governor say, so many family members, extended family members, neighbors helping neighbors are already supporting some of that initial temporary sheltering solutions to help people stay safe right now. But we are going to continue to work with our state partners to find the right solution for individuals in this community, because we know that every individual has a unique need. Every family has a different situation, and so we want to make sure that we understand what the needs are and what the best tools are going to be to come in and support this community as quickly as possible. I'll give a little bit of an update on some of the things that we are doing on the ground right now. Our Region 4 Administrator, Gracia Check, she's here with me today. She has been in constant communication with the state director as well as the governor since before the incident happened, when we were monitoring the threats of what was going to happen. And our Regional Response Coordination Center has been activated, being able to support and send in resources at the state's request. If there were any additional needs or gaps identified, we would have been able to bring those in and support as needed. We've sent an incident management assistance team. They are right now at the State Emergency Operations Center. They are embedded there, and they will work side by side with our state partners to support them in helping to make sure that the right federal resources that are available are here and supporting these communities. And then yesterday, as I mentioned already, I directed our disaster survivor assistance teams to come in and start going door to door into these communities, helping people register for assistance. What I would say right now is our number one concerns is still life safety. I think as you look around here and you look at the debris, I just really encourage everybody to remain vigilant, stay cautious. There is a lot of hazards within this debris. And unfortunately, there's been so much loss of life, which is just heartbreaking. But we often see additional injuries and additional loss of life after a disaster because of the type of hazards that are in this debris. So please listen to your local officials. If there's roads that are closed and barricades, please don't go around them. That means that there's a hazard over there. And as you are going through your homes and you are looking for your belongings, please take the extra care to make sure that you're keeping yourself and your family safe. With that, I would just say that FEMA is here. We remain committed to the people of Mississippi. We will be here for you now. We will be here for you next week. We will be here long after these cameras are gone to make sure that we are assisting you with all of your recovery needs. Governor, you have my commitment that we will be here throughout the duration of this recovery effort. And so with that, I would now like to turn it over to Senator Wicker for his comments.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. And I'm joined with Congressman Thompson. Congressman, come on up here, and Senator, come on up here. I want us to stand together because I want you to know that this delegation is shoulder to shoulder for Mississippi in this regard. We got a letter together of both of our senators, all 4 members of the House of Representatives yesterday afternoon, got it up to the President of the United States. I want to thank the President for calling each of us individually. I want to thank him for sending a member of his cabinet here. We don't always get cabinet members, but we thank you, Mr. Secretary and Madam Administrator. And we are also in it with you for the long haul. We appreciate Mayor Walker and the state officials that are here, the law enforcement that have come in, and we realize this is going to be a long process. Let me say this before I turn it over to Senator Hyde-Smith and Mr. Representative Thompson. We're about to spend some local and state money on this. We're going to do it in coordination with one of the best state emergency management teams in the country. We're good because we have experience. We really would prefer if we didn't quite have as much opportunity to show how good we are. But the governor has put a good team together, and we've been visiting with them yesterday and today. Madam Administrator and Mr. Secretary, we're going to spend some money. We're going to get the best guidance we can from Jackson and Washington, D.C. We want cooperation when we ask for reimbursement. We've had problems in the past. I don't anticipate any problems in the future because we're going to work with you. We're going to spend the money the right way according to the statute, and we want a smooth transition of those funds. I too am impressed with the spirit of can-do. There's no victimhood in this community today, and we're there with you. We'll be back again, and we're with you for the long haul. Senator Hyde-Smith.
Thank you, Senator Wicker. And I tell you, when I got the text Friday night and Saturday morning started coming to my phone, I knew it was bad, but until I got here yesterday, it is indescribable until you see this. It is our job to step up right now. We were over at the Napa Autos Parts store. We got in a circle and we prayed, and that is certainly what we need. This morning, early on national news, I saw a gentleman talking about being in one of the houses, and he said after the storm, it got quiet, but I heard children crying. I'm so concerned about the mental welfare of these children, of these adults, way beyond this storm. You know, I have a staffer, previous staffer, his name's Gibson Clark, and when anybody in Washington, D.C. said, "Where are you from?" he said, "Rolling Fork, Mississippi." And they would look at him so strange, like, Rolling Fork. This storm has put Rolling Fork on the map. We have other areas. We have 4 counties that have damage. But this has truly highlighted this community. But I've got news for you. This community is going to come back. This community is going to come back strong. We are here to help you. We are here to provide the services. We want you to have the debris removal, to be able to relocate, to be able to restructure your lives. But you're going to come back, and I don't want anyone to give up on that hope, because the folks behind me, this administration, this secretary, this director of FEMA, we are going to be here for you. We're going to do it every day till we get people in a position that's livable again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for putting this word out. I do ask for your prayers, and I want you to be conscious of the mental effect that this is going to have on these residents, and any help we can reach out with any of that. Please let us know what that is. Thank you. Congressman Thompson.
Thank you very much. Let me first thank the Biden administration for a record approval of a disaster declaration. I've represented this area for quite a while, and I've never seen a disaster declaration turn around in this kind of time. So I'm excited. I thank the governor for making the request in a timely manner. I thank all of the state and local partners who got us to this point. I want to thank Supervisor Smith and Supervisor Smith from Sharkey County. I want to thank Mayor Walker for always being there in this time of need. I want to thank Secretary Mayorkas, Administrator Cresswell, and their teams for demonstrating that this administration cares because they're here today. As the senator said, most of the time they'll send somebody not so high up, but I think this demonstrates the seriousness about the effort, and we appreciate it. The other notion behind this declaration is they are approved normally when state and local resources have been overrun. And so now that those resources have been documented not to be here at the state or local level, it's your federal government that will backfill the need in this community. We don't want anyone who's impacted to make a decision to leave because they didn't get made whole again. We have that process. We have to document it over time, but our goal is to have this community as close to what it was before Friday night occurred. But it will require cooperation on the part of everyone. And again, let me thank all of the partners who've been here from day one. And everyone has a story, but all the stories so far are positive because everyone who's shown up so far is here to help. Apart from that, let me turn the mic over to Mayor Eldridge Walker, the mayor of Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
Thank you, Congressman. First of all, to Mr. Secretary, Mr. Rector, the governor of the great state of Mississippi, and all the representatives who are here from this great state, Mayor Flaggs from Vicksburg, Mississippi. On behalf of this entire community, first we want to say thank you. We want to thank you for all that you're doing for our families here and making sure that the city of Rolling Fork will come back bigger and better than ever before. We want to make sure that our displaced families are taken care of. That's being done. We want to make sure that there are priorities for their personal hygienes and everything that's needed is in place. This is being taken care of. We're well on our way to bringing Rolling Fork back to where it once was and to make it even better. On behalf of the entire Board of Aldermen of this city, again, we want to thank you. And we want to let you know that without your help, the volunteers, we have volunteers here from as far away as Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana. They're right here in the city of Rolling Fork helping us out. And we're thankful for what everybody is doing to help us in this devastating time. You know, we kind of remember those of us who have, this is a Bible Belt, and we were all taught that a family that prays together stays together. This is a family of unity, a family of strength. And this is what we need to make this community come back once again. And lastly, I'm not only just the mayor of this community, but I've lost personal friends. I'm also the local funeral director. Now, I'm having to meet my families, those who have lost loved ones, and help them make it through this traumatic time. But you know what? I'm a firm believer that when you do right, right will follow you. And I think that I've been prepared to take on this task, and I'm going to do it in the name of the mayor of the city of Rolling Fork and of the man that I am and that God has made me to be. So I want to thank each of you who are here for all that you have done and all that you will do in future days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for doing right. Thank you for doing right, not just in these times of tragedy, but every single day. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to open it up to questions, but before I do, I just want to remind everyone that we are here in Rolling Fork, and Rolling Fork is certainly devastated. But this disaster did not stop across that road right there. I made stops yesterday with the Humphrey County Sheriff in Silver City, and in Winona, and in Amory, and there's damage in Smithville and Vaden and a lot of other places throughout our state. And so while we're all here today, please know that we also are thinking about our friends and neighbors in those communities, and the resources that the President approved yesterday after my request for a declaration will be provided in those communities as well. And so we've got a lot of press here today, a lot of national press here today, and we're here in Rolling Fork because as the storm came across the Mississippi River, the most and the first major damage occurred right here, but it's not unique to here. As I walked through those communities yesterday, I promise you there's a lot of hurting in other places in our state too, and we're going to keep them in our prayers as well. And so with that, I'm going to open the floor to questions. Yes, ma'am, I'll start back here. Well, thank you for the question. And for those of you who did not hear it, it was a question regarding the potential for severe weather that we have in the state of Mississippi this afternoon. Now, we have been monitoring that very, very closely. Obviously, with the visits from our friends from Washington, what we have found is that the vast majority of the most severe weather is expected south of Interstate 55. We are monitoring it very closely. We have our State Emergency Operations Center. We were there earlier today. We do have FEMA personnel there watching and prepared to dispatch whomever needs to be dispatched. In the height of the storm on Friday evening, we had over 300 search and rescue personnel situated throughout the state. A lot of state assets, a lot of local assets, and we are prepared that in the event that occurs this afternoon, we will be there. We will be there. Senator Wicker mentioned earlier, it's unfortunate, but we've had to deal with these kind of storms a lot in Mississippi lately. A lot of you may or may not know, I got sworn in January of 2020. In my first 14 months in office, we had 14 federally declared disasters. We've got a great team of emergency management professionals, not only at the state EOC, but a great team at the local level as well. And yes, we have been in communication with them to be prepared. Obviously, South Alabama is also in those lines for potential severe weather today. What we've seen, much like the storm that occurred here Friday night, is in the 24 to 36 hours that are leading up to this afternoon, it appears that the risks seem to be getting worse and worse, not better. And when you stand here and see this, what feels like a beautiful weather day in Mississippi, please be aware and please know if you are south of I-55 in Mississippi today, there are significant risks. We are prepared. We obviously have a lot of assets and a lot of resources from here to Amory and everywhere in between, but in Mississippi, we will have people prepared to go if and when necessary. I'm going to ask the Secretary to comment as well if he would like, or Dan, either one.
I would say one quick thing, and then I'll turn it over to the administrator, and that is that people should listen to their local officials and heed their warnings and follow their instructions with respect to what to do if, in fact, a severe weather event is imminent.
Yeah, what I'll add to this is that we have teams on the ground now with our incident management assistance team that's embedded at the EOC to help support any requests that the governor and his team may ask. I got to tell you that the first responders through this event that just happened are amazing as they responded out into these communities, the countless lives that they saved while many of them had probably damage to their own homes. Very impressive. But if there's additional assistance that's needed, right? Very capable state. If additional assistance is needed, we can move quickly, and we'll support the governor in whatever his requests are. And I just want to echo what the secretary said at the end there. Know how you're going to get information. Know how you're going to get these alerts, because these weather systems change rapidly, and then know what your actions are going to be so you can protect yourself and your family. Those two pieces of action right now are going to be incredibly important, as we know that these storms are dynamic and they change quickly. Thank you.
We have Mac here, as those of you who are local know, is our Emergency Management Director at the State Emergency Operations Center. And I just asked him to make sure that we didn't not cover everything, and he says we're okay. So I'll start over here. Yes, sir. Well, I will tell you that when we woke up yesterday morning, we immediately started doing damage assessments. When we woke up yesterday morning, or when many people woke up, a lot of people around here didn't go to bed, and a lot of people around the state didn't go to bed. But for those who did wake up at daybreak yesterday, we had 23 confirmed fatalities, and we had 4 individuals that we knew that were missing. And we had not seen significant analysis of the Monroe County area yet because of course, this storm, and what's made it so very dangerous is it came in the middle of the night. These things are very hard to see when they come in the middle of the night, and you tend to see more fatalities. Well, yesterday, we increased the number of fatalities throughout the day from 23 to 25. The 4 people that were missing in Sharkey County, when I was with the sheriff after I left here yesterday, almost around noon or maybe a little after, they had found those 4 individuals all alive, praise Jesus. And so there are still some possibilities that the numbers could go up. I'll also tell you we had a conversation this morning. The initial 25 confirmed fatalities, the number may come down 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 4. And the reason for that is not that the fatalities didn't occur, it's just there's some possibilities that they didn't occur because of the storm. They were for other more natural causes. And so we're monitoring that. It is certainly possible that the number of fatalities can still go up, but those search and rescue assets, when you have 300 of them, as we had throughout the state yesterday, we do believe that we have searched in most of the rubble. There's still a lot of damage out there. There's a lot of work to be done. At this point, it's really difficult to rebuild communities if you don't have power, if you don't have water, and those are things that through the public assistance that we've been able to secure from our partners at FEMA, we'll be able to get those up and running and operational very, very quickly. And so I can't give you exact numbers at this time, but just know that aside from the number of people that we have back at the state EOC monitoring this weather in South Mississippi today, we also continue to have assets that are monitoring and assessing damage. And the easiest thing that we can do is continue to work with our local people to get that done. Yes, sir. Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I believe that there are 13 in Sharkey County. Is that right? The mayor stepped away. I believe there's approximately 13 in Sharkey County. I believe there's approximately 4. There's approximately 4 in Humphreys County, and I know that there's approximately 3 to 4 up in Monroe County. But we will get you the exact numbers after this is over. Mac has them written down. Some of that we're not able to give out yet, notifying next of kin, but we'll get you the information that we have when the press conference is over. Yes, sir.
Governor, how important is it for local, state, and federal government, even though they might not always get along, to put aside differences in times like this?
Well, I'll just tell you, it's been my experience in times like this that there is no such thing as politics. This doesn't have anything to do with politics. All this has to do with is helping our friends and our neighbors. And what you see behind me and what you've seen over the last 36 hours is a united front. in working with the administration, working with the state officials, working with the local officials. You know, I was talking to Administrator Criswell on the way up here, and the way the Stafford Act, which is the federal act that governs these, works and has forever and ever, and it's the way it ought to work, which is local, national, and natural disasters are state managed, locally executed, and federally supported. And that's the reason that the declaration was so very important that we got done yesterday, because the federal support is there, and we are executing at the local level now, and we will continue to do so. Yes?
The legislative session in the state is almost coming to a close. Can you speak to the importance of state lawmakers getting some stuff out before signed out?
Yeah, well, look, we have a disaster trust fund in Mississippi. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not proud of this fact, but we do deal with natural disasters regularly. We made a request sometime yesterday of the Senator Hobson, who is the chairman of appropriations that represents part of this county, maybe all of this county. We made a request to Speaker Gunn, who was up here with Senator Hobson yesterday, to give us approximately $5 million to get started. We will have the resources, though. We are going to have the resources to do whatever is necessary to work with our federal partners. Yes, sir.
Governor, in Kentucky and Mayfield, when this happened about a year and a half ago, one of the long-term issues they dealt with was small businesses and businesses coming back. People didn't want to move back or rebuild because they didn't have jobs. What is the state and the federal government going to do to ensure that businesses also get to rebuild?
Well, I will tell you that, and that's a great question, and I will tell you, I spoke to I don't know how many, countless governors yesterday, Republican and Democrat governors that were reaching out to help. And I had a great conversation with Governor Beshear yesterday, and the lessons learned from that storm, because that one, similar to this, you know, we've had a lot of tornadoes in Mississippi, but storms that had such significant damage from one side of the state all the way to the other, obviously we don't see every single day. And so two issues, one that you mentioned and one that's equally as important. Number one, you can't rebuild a community if nobody can move back. And in some communities that have been damaged, what we've seen is that there are a lot of residences that have gotten significant damage, but you can probably live in them. Any of you that have toured back here behind me know there aren't very many residences back here that can be lived in. And so I talked to the secretary and the administrator this morning. The two primary objectives that we have before us is, number one is potential housing, both short-term, intermediate-term, and long-term. Potential housing for those residents, because as I mentioned earlier, the guy that I was talking to, he said his mom and daddy are living with him in Greenville, but they don't want to live with him in Greenville. They want to live right here, and I get it. And so we've got to work hard to make sure that once we can get the debris cleaned up, that we have opportunities for residents to come back and live here, because if this community is going to be rebuilt, people got to have a place to live. And the second thing, which is critically important, is small business assistance. We always work with the Small Business Administration on every single one of these disasters with FEMA, and we are committed to doing it here to make sure that every federal asset and every federal resource is available for our small businesses here in this area, but really throughout the state, because there's a lot of damage. Hey, seeing no other questions, I just want to again thank every single one of you for being here. Thank all of our partners from the state and federal government. Thank you for being here, and God bless, okay? Thank y'all. Thank you.
I'm just going to move this over a little bit real quick.